Hello, and welcome to my screencast for my overview of my first learning module, which is building an app or application. What I am showing you now is the um, web page for appypie.com. Once you log in, you'll be sent to a page like this where you can build your app. It has a number of features that you can add. And over here on the right hand side is a preview of my completed app for my 7th grade social studies class. I have decided to include a number of things that will be helpful to my students if I decide to build the app and have it go live. My students will be able to use this to become more invested in my class, become excited about some of the contemporary issues that we are discussing in our social studies class this year, and also to get a little bit more invested in the school itself. So as part of one of the components of this project was to include a place where students can go to learn a little bit about myself and the syllabus and some contact information. So that it would be here in the About Me section. I have placed some of the information that I had on my hard copy syllabus that gives a little background about the class, a little bit about myself as the teacher. Here's a picture of myself. Also materials for the class, about the notebook that I have created for the class, and then again some contact information, school email, and phone number. This is a nice one-pager on their phone that students and parents will be able to have the information at their fingertips. So then we go back to the editing page here. I have also decided to include a link to a Google Drive account that I have set up that my students can have access to. And here are some sample assignments from last year that we have worked on. And again, if I decide to go live with the application, I can modify the assignments that would be available so they can just click on the documents to go into the Google Drive to have access to the learning activities, whether they're at school or at home. If they're away on vacation, it's very simple to use. And then you go back to the home page, the home screen. I've also included multiple videos. Again, can add more as the year goes on. This first video is about the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is something that we just finished discussing in my class. We talk about the rights of minorities and how that has changed over time here in the United States. Later on the year, we'll talk about the Middle East and some of the conflict that's happening in and along the area of Jerusalem. And then we also talk about, in geography, talking about where things are located and why they're located at these locations. I really find that videos help students make connections to the concepts that we're talking about in class. Many times concepts are very conceptual, and as 7th graders, sometimes they just need to see it in front of them. And having access to videos on their phones, again, they can have access to this at any point, any location. I've also included web pages. So these are some web pages about Jim Crow laws, again, site and situation for geography. There's some basic information about some economic terms. We're going to deal with some international trade barriers, other like imports and exports, things like that, and also women's suffrage. Again, this aspect of the site can be modified as the year goes on. As we get closer to the end of the year, when we have our state, getting closer to our state tests, I can include other websites to help with like map skills and things of that nature. I also created a Google Calendar, and this is linked to that Google Calendar, where I have included some upcoming events. Tomorrow and Tuesday, they'll have parent conferences at the school, and then, no school for the rest of the week. Some things that are coming up, their assessment that's coming up beginning of December, and then it just kind of cycles through. I've also included a to-do list where students can get started for, say, the beginning of class. Have they turned in the necessary homework? Do they have a pen or pencil? Start their daily warm-up. This is especially good for 504 students or students with IEPs who need some concrete checklists. They can have this at their fingertips. Also, at the end of the day, they can be at their locker, get their phone out. Do I have my homework? Do I have homework that day? And do I have everything for my homework? Just so they can go through the steps and make sure that they are prepared so they can be successful in class. And I've also included a link to our school's Facebook page. And it's just some photos. I really find that students get excited when they look at these photos, when they see the things that are going on in the school. They've been caught. Like, here's some pictures from Halloween. Our school's really trying to get kids more motivated and connected into the school process. Here's some students participating in the mock election. For some reason, that's not loading. And then we're back to the About Me. I really tried to make sure that the app had a nice clean look to it. I think the blue is really nice and calming, and then the white for the icons and the font makes it really easy to see. I'm really happy with how the application turned out. When I first started this assignment, I did ask my students what they would like to see in an app, and they really wanted some tutoring help, so that is kind of addressed through the videos and the websites. A to-do list. They would also like something where they could like jot down some of their own notes. So that is something that I would do some further investigation as I was going through the AppyPie site. They're kind of limited to some of the options that are available at this time for education. There was a chat feature, but I wasn't too sure with that, with some privacy concerns and things like that about adding that. But I do think that if I did decide to launch this app and have it go live, that my students would be really excited about it, and I know there are a number of them that would use it on a consistent basis. I really think that some parents would be interested in this as well, to have something that is simple. A lot of my students have their phones in their hands, or try to have their phones in their hands on a very consistent basis. So this would be a one-click link to my class, and I think that it would really help to engage a lot more of my students. An application like this is really a creative way to have some more student buy-in. I do not know a lot of classroom applications. I do know of a lot of teachers that use classroom websites, which is wonderful for students to have access, but an application like this, like I said before, it's really streamlined. It's one click, and I think students would be, again, really, really excited about it. And I really hope to one day implement something like this in my classroom.